Hello and welcome to another Sunday session of Impulse Drive, a PBTA game powered by the Apocalypse, a science fiction game, one of several. This one leans into the kinds of stories told on Killjoys and Dark Matter and Firefly. It is a game that has some universe assumptions to it, but not a very specific setting. So I've taken that and I've made some modifications so that we could play the Coriolis setting from Freely Publishing, try that out, and explore that using this system. I have played Coriolis with the existing system, and then now I'm playing it with Impulse Drive. And this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. The Gauntlet is an online gaming community. It has an online calendar that is sort of supported by a Patreon. Patreon backers at a certain level can get early RSVP access. It is a volunteer GM thing, and then after a certain date, it's open to anybody for the calendar. That Patreon also supports our podcasts, supports our monthly zine, and a bunch of other stuff. So find out about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. If you like this, we have a lot of other AP podcasts, AP videos on this channel. And then we also have a channel I'll try and provide, I always forget to do this, a link in the show notes where you can actually get these videos in podcast form. If you do that, do not turn on auto upload for your podcast. If you do that on your phone, because there are hundreds of episodes, you will rapidly run out of memory and data charges. This is a thing that I learned earlier this week when I was like, I'll just add that to my phone. So we are here and Leandro says having some internet problems. He'll try to jump in when he can. So just got that note. So we last time finished up a job for the Chelebs-Molnaro family on the planet of Miron, the Icon planet. The group did their sort of hey big spender for that. They rolled out from that bit. There were some tensions with the Lascarid family that showed up on scene, but the big takeaway is that they got some information about the other members of this lost expedition that by all rights, given what they've seen about the ship, these other three ought to be dead. How they survived is unclear, but they survived this expedition 20 years ago. And they got another section of the stacked discs and got some senses of who is going on, what is happening, but not great stuff. The one that is most relevant to what we're doing today is they found out that the person known as Burdu Khan, which is a person they hadn't got any information on before, is actually on the planet of Lubao. Lubao is in the Kua system, which is where Coriolis is. It's the planet closest to the sun, actually. And so they got some other information. They decided that they would head back to Coriolis because it is the big hub. And from there, they would go and check out and try to find Burdu Khan and locate him. And they also looked around for a job, and the only job they got was very badly paying. But essentially, it's the transport of a number of young people from essentially this nomad confederation, the space nomads, who had joined up with the space circus, who wanted to go home. And the space circus people were hiring the group to return these kids who'd been jaded or their dreams dashed, or realized how much work it was to be in a space circus. Some of them they are going to be taking to Coriolis, and then the rest they're going to be taking on to another system eventually, where another one of these Lost Expedition team members is located. So that particular segment, the taking them on, we're going to kind of put a pin in that. The assumption is that you guys have reached Coriolis Station. You've let some of the kids go on their way, help them get settled into various places. The kids who are going on to the other system, you're leaving them here for a few days until you come back and take them on, and they are safe and fine. The GM's promise on that, okay? So that you don't have to worry about that. But let's just take a little bit of time to check in on Coriolis, and because you missed it, Kyrie, let us do your Hey Big Spender roll.
Spiraling moveset, go!
Yes. Now, here is the thing that you're going to enjoy about this Hey Big Spender. It's with a +3 because your captain negotiated it back up when they tried to cut the payment down.
Good Lord, okay. Here's that thing. Ooh, I have dice. Oh, that's a 14 then.
Okay, you can find your heart's desire, spend big, and live life to its fullest. You can purchase one item from the specialist gear or black market, or choose 3 from the list below.
And where were we when we were doing this?
That would have
Where
been
are we?
on Mira, the icon planet.
Interesting.
One of the things you might do is since we did fictionally take all the harm off of you, you might do that. But if you want to get specialist gear or things like that, I'm also cool with that. I'm going to let you look at that because the ship has docked on Coriolis, which is the means that we then roll the crew is back in town move. Captain, would you please roll with your disposition on Coriolis, which currently stands at a flat 0?
That's a 4.
That is a 4. So right now there is a lot of tension. There's a set of negotiations that are going on. Remember that labor dispute was happening. That has been exacerbated by a new policy that had been some time in coming, but has finally been put into practice, that the Coriolis Station Authority has invited a number of mystics, meaning low-level psychics, on board, and essentially said that they are welcome on board, and are essentially hiring them on to this. This is something that a lot of first comers object to, and a lot of people are nervous about, and that has created a general sense of tension throughout the station. So right now, people are selling high. They are things are coming dear right now on the station. Does that seem like a fair answer to that 4? And you get to mark an XP.
Yeah. Okay. Tension on the station. That's fine. What could go wrong?
Absolutely. So let me go around and let me start with you there, Kala. Is there anything you want to do on Coriolis before you head out? And again, when you get out there, even you who are sometimes oblivious to these things can feel the tension in the air.
Okay. And I am sometimes oblivious. So I'll be extra careful which is not very careful at all, probably.
Okay, fair enough.
Because it's just people being tense, and sometimes they are. I think that what she needs to look into is essentially, how about, I think she's going to look into the nomadic people that we're going to go to speak to try to get audience with Argamina.
Okay.
so that she has some idea of how to interact with them. Because after Mira, she has a sense that perhaps she could be better at talking with people.
Do you want to do that with a scope it out, or do you want to perhaps say to that in the fiction will give you advantage forward on interacting with them later on when you arrive? Which would you prefer?
I will take that advantage because I doubt I'll roll all that well. I have
What-
scope it out, but it doesn't seem like the best fit.
So one of the things that you will discover, and let me get the name of this, is that particular system, Argamina, which is the place where this particular nomad group, and there are several different nomad families and tribes and so on, they tend to have paths they're working on. They have not been really given a seat on the council, and they've been pushing for that, and certain factions have been pushing to get them on there to have their voice, because when push comes to shove, they have altogether they have the largest fleet in the Third Horizon, just by nature, by dint of that their travels and the number of ships that they have. The particular family that you're going to visit, there is a gas giant in that system that on an annual basis there is some crystallization that forms in the upper atmosphere. It's dangerous, but what crystallizes there is hugely valuable, and so the fleet will settle there. They have meetings, and people who want to prove themselves will actually kind of do the equivalent of space bungee jumping from ships down into there to gather up these materials. It's kind of a rite of passage for some people who want to demonstrate their prowess. And it's actually based around, and the crystallization is based on an old precursor artifact that's there in the system. So that's what you can find out about them. Does that seem like fair info?
Mm-hmm. Is there any of our group that might have the, how do you say, the unique skills for being able to do that, to show their prowess per se?
Well, the captain is a daredevil.
Yes.
So I have no doubt that the captain could attempt it.
All right, then in that case, I will read over all the captaining protocols in case something goes terribly awry.
Okay, fair enough. In case it lost a captain, you pull that up.
I will know how to set all the system.
Your AI says, should I tell the captain that you're researching this, or should I just keep this quiet?
It's your choice.
I'm not hearing the word mutiny, so it's okay.
No,
then.
that's not what it's about. It is, I just have a sense that he's going to try this. It would be better to be prepared.
Fair enough. Captain, is there anything you are doing here on Coriolis before we move you on?
Well, I have a package to deliver.
Oh, that's right.
So, I mean, I don't know what's in this package, but I know that I have been told that I do not want to know what's in this package. So I am going to be very careful with all these low-level psychics on the station, and I'm setting up my communicator to pipe an earworm into my ear.
Okay. Let us have you roll Keep Your Cool with Stalwart as you kind of head down into the underhive with this object.
And today is my day to roll 4.
So number 1, you're going to suffer stress. Number 2, when you get to the location, you're kind of inside getting ready to meet with your contact. And it's at that point that you realize that there is definitely how do I put this, undercover station security all over this place. Like waiting, watching, earpieces, communications. They're clearly waiting for something to go down. And you have just walked into this.
Okay, I am walking out of this.
Okay. In that case, let us have you act quick, because even as you kind of turn to go out, you realize it's not your meet that they're here for, but another meet, and that has just happened and suddenly that these operatives are activated, and they're leaping up, station security, everybody down. So let's have you roll act quick.
5. Getting better. Yes.
Okay.
So I am acting completely naturally, by which I mean I am trying to flee the scene immediately.
So one of these station security people is there by the door, and they knock you down, and your box goes whoosh across the floor. You can presumably get out of here because you're pretty fast, but if you want to get out of here with the box, that's a different story.
Yeah, I've got to retrieve the box.
Okay, we'll come back to you in just a moment. Kyrie.
Hey, what's up?
What have you selected? Another chameleon suit? A second chameleon suit?
So many chameleon suits.
I shot through the first one, but if I had 2 chameleon suits,
no one will ever find me. So I'm gonna take the healing option. That makes sense. I was very badly hurt, and it probably cost some to fix.
Mm-hmm.
For my advancement, I went with a telekinesis move, which is slightly more contained, flailing about, slightly. And then for my other choices, I think I want to do a personal project. And also, while I was getting healed, I had a little minor surgery and just had some, computer bits installed in my brain. So I picked up a virtual interface. So now I can talk to computers and use. It basically just lets me use other moves, but with computers. So I'm imagining there's some fun overlap with my mind spike and telepathy stuff.
Absolutely. And I want you to imagine that they have hundreds of different systems and protocols and languages, because they've never really had a unified set of things. The Zenithians have been working towards that, but it is one of those things that when you first interface with a new system, you're like, okay, what language? Okay, slow down. But yeah, you can communicate with them. And what's your personal project?
Well, just one last thing with the virtual interface.
Oh, yes.
Because it does have you pick up a following hook or a new hook.
Ooh.
So just let you know, the one I chose with that, I think that mixes very well with what you're saying, is I'm not yet used to the information overload from my implant.
Ooh, I like that very much. And what is your personal project?
So I've done the general investigation on the Order of the Pariah, but I want to look into the hounds more specifically, given that sort of emotional connection and guilt I felt with that last hound. I want to start figuring out more about their program, how they select people, where they train people, and what sort of methods they use to control them.
That seems fair. And let me see what I will put on that. I think we'll do that. Actually, that's a little more involved, so we're going to put that as a six segment clock.
All right.
And of course, it is dangerous.
What? Why?
Looking into the secret psychics from the Order of the Pariah.
Seems pretty normal.
Just a little thing.
Fine, if you're gonna be picky about it.
All
right, okay. And I get 1 for starting it, right?
Yep. Kala, I'm going to come back to you. Anything else you want to do before I see what has happened with the captain?
So, let's see here. I think, because I ran into the Lascarid down there on Mira, and then they followed us, I want to get a sense if they're moving around here. Like, if they've gotten any, like, where they are and what they're doing.
Okay. I think let's do that with scope it out.
Okay. And that you roll with calculating?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I just rolled Kari's. Oh, Kari's things. So they were lovely, but not mine. So now I have to re-roll. Okay, so that gives me a 10.
A 10. So you get to ask 3 questions, and we can modify the scope it out questions to fit the situation.
Okay. I just always have to find the scope it out. That's the hardest part of it. Okay, here it is. So let's see here. So I guess the first thing is what's about to happen? Like
with the Lascarids?
Yeah, what are they powering up for?
Well, one of the things that you can put sort of 2 and 2 together with from what happened on Mira is there is very clearly a marriage being made between the Chelebs Manau, who are a staunch first-comer family, and the Lascarid family. That young woman that you got the tailor to work on, you're like, I think what's happening is this marriage, and they're doing it in secret, and they're trying to keep things quiet, but it will give the Lascarids access to resources of the Chelebs Manau, and give the Chelebs Manau access to the Lascarid family. And there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be upset about this.
Huh. Okay. So that's interesting. Let's see here. What here is not what it appears to be. Because that's always my favorite. Aha.
You're pretty sure the Chelebs Manau have not informed the Lascarids that the daughter was touched by the dark, and they had to get a doctor in to remove that extra arm.
Oh. All right. What here will give me an edge?
I think that you still have contact info for the tailor. Like when we spoke with the tailor spoke with you privately because you were generous to a fault with her, and she would have given you a private comm frequency, a thing to send, given you the name of her lover that she sent off. Remember, all that money was gone.
Yeah.
So you've got some contacts and pull there. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Okay. Captain. Chaos. There's this raid going on. People are moving around. You don't see this. It's hard to see where your contact is. This thing is skidded across this filthy floor. And you can see they've got like these station cleaner Roombas that are like moving towards it. They pick up debris on the floor. And it is a mess. Tell me what you're doing.
I think I'm going to take a moment to commune with the dancer.
Okay, absolutely. So you may, since you don't have access to the temple, to the thing, you're just going to be rolling with flat.
Yeah, well, that's a 7.
Look at you. Okay, so what is your prayer to the dancer look like? Is it a muttered phrase? Is it touching an object? Is it just concentrating?
It's, I think it's along the lines of "feet don't fail me now."
You do that, you get yourself set, you wait for a moment, when this person is like trying to move your arm back to like read you your rights kind of thing, which is going to be very brief because you don't have any around here, and they're getting their the electro cuffs ready, and let's have you roll act quick.
Okay, and I'm going to spend my hold to roll with advantage. There we go. That's a 12.
So tell me what we see on screen. This person is trying to pin you down. The box is across. There's chaos in the room.
Yeah, and like I've got he's got my arm, and I move my arm in this martial arts move and just flip him over my head, and the other cops, some of them are turning to me, but they don't have a clear shot, and I'm going diving under a table, reaching for this box, and I get off a shot which activates the sprinkler system.
Okay. Yeah, you could do that. The sort of the spray halon will start to come in here. You will grab, roll, and you can get out the door. And not too much worse for wear, just the extra stress. And I think you'll probably get a message that says, "Sit on the box. We'll contact you."
Yeah, and I'm going to get back to the ship, but I'm going to take a circuitous route to make sure that I'm hopefully not followed. With luck, they won't connect this with the ship. But
And it's easy. The Coriolis is huge. Different elevators, walkways, drop down into the markets, wander through there, head back up. Spend an hour doing that, and eventually you'll make your way back to the ship. Kyrie, is there anything else you want to do on Coriolis before we move on to the next step?
Yeah, I mean, Coriolis is sort of like the biggest information hub out there, and we're still, I think, relatively close to that system that the Order of the Pariah uses.
Yeah. Yeah, that is Zelos, again, on the nose. And they've closed down that system, yeah.
So, yeah, I'd like to try and look in, I guess maybe using like a contact sort of thing. I had met that woman. I wish I had a better place to take notes and was better at taking notes.
I know the feeling.
But the old woman that I'd met that was part of the sort of resistance group.
Yeah, let's have you roll with calculating right now.
Oh, Reshwan the Smoke. Haha, I did it. I took notes. Old blind woman represents the network. So yeah, I want to see what sort of information they might have on the hounds, or what's been done or being done to them.
Roll with calculating.
Okay, so tabs. I'm so good at investigating. It's my best stat. It's not. 10 minus 1 is 9.
Hey, that's still a thing. I think that Reshwan will. She's of course caught up in the middle of this because she does deal with psychics and things like that, and there's all this push and pull that's going on, and so she's got a lot of coals in the fire, and she will say the hounds are gathered young. They're taken to Zelos, and something is done to them. Different from what was done to you, it seems to me.
What was different about me?
I don't know, but you don't have the same manner or controls that the hounds do. They begin with conditioning.
They just seemed more interested in pain to me.
That it says there's something odd about you.
That's something I've learned to live with.
She says they only choose for the hounds, from what I have heard, those who are most insulated from feeling and most insulated from the darkness. And she looks at you as if to say, which you are clearly not.
I don't have a problem with my emotions. Oh.
You're not my mom.
Sit in uncomfortable silence with her for a minute. And then I'll say, you'll keep an ear out. I need to know more about them. I need to know more about what's going on with them now.
You need another source other than me. I do not wish to dip into that particular trough.
Well, then who? Who can I talk to?
You will have to find someone. I'm sorry. You are asking me to investigate the people that hunt us.
Just asking for the name of one person that knows anything.
I have many more people than you that I must care for. I know you think you are alone, but you are not.
No, I'm not alone. I'm lucky. I got out. It's the next child, the one that's being taken right now. They're the ones that are alone.
Then you have your path. And she will give you effectively a tick on your progress clock there for that project.
Cool.
So we'll cut to the group coming back to the ship. The captain looks maybe a little more frazzled than usual, or are you completely unflustered by these events, Nikos?
I am making an effort to look completely casual, and everyone on the crew knows that when I'm swaggering that little extra bit, it means something went very badly wrong.
Except Kayla. She never picks that up.
Captain looks confident.
He seems like he's flying casual.
Yeah, so to speak. Okay, so we will get the sequence that we see. Coriolis, again, massive station, several rings on it. We see your ship, disembarking, and dropping out, following the various flight plans. We get the glamour shots of the station, and the ship comes cruising by the camera, and then we see you heading in system towards Lubao. Lubao is one of the closest planets in the system to the sun. It has no rotation. One side faces towards the sun. It is significantly smaller than than Kua or the other planets, yet weirdly it still has relatively the same gravity, which is something that scientists here in the Third Horizon have not been able to explain. Because it doesn't spin, doesn't have that rotation, it has a relatively modest magnetosphere. So you've got this sort of permanent space station in very low orbit on the dark side. That is sort of the docking. Where the planet fully faces the sun, it is scorching, as you can imagine. It is deserts and scorching and so on. There's evidence that this planet once had water and forests and things. What happened is unclear. But the only thing that goes and operates on that desert side are essentially petroleum rigs going out and digging for materials. This is a petroleum production planet. And also different wildcat miners and scavengers seeking out places where molten ore is bubbling to the surface. And they have very specialized equipment for that. The actual populated section is, as you can imagine, a ring around the planet between that night side and that light side. And there are a couple of cities that are there. Mehrabi is the largest city. And they have a lot of industrial things and production and that kind of stuff. It's where a lot of the mining and petroleum extraction industries have their HQ and so on. But the place that you are heading to is a place called Mahanji. It's actually called the Mahanji Oasis. This is where you heard that Burdu Khan had hung his hat in at least the last few years, operating as some kind of fixer. When you are coming down, you'll see that it is a giant lake that's there in this area. This is a more temperate zone. You can see that there is a real basic spaceport there, basically multiple concrete runways with the office for the local sharif. You can see that there are industrial spots. This is a place where some of the petroleum extractors go out of. There's a town/city of maybe 150 buildings. It does look like there's some fancier estates and other things. You've heard that there's a famous library that's here, like essentially from before the Portal War, like an old library. You will set down on this dust-ridden place. You can see that the spaceport is a ways away from the town. It's a ways away from whatever estate it is. Essentially, there's a whole ring of things around this lake. As you settle down, set the ship, do we think of taking a shuttle or taking the ship to land here, Captain?
I mean, I think we established that the ship doesn't really land on planets, that we take
Okay.
a shuttle.
So you got the shuttle that comes down, lands, get that dust in the air. It is hot. You know, as soon as you did the little thermostat, it starts bubbling up there. The reading is climbing, and you will see this guy come walking out and over to where you're at. He's dressed pretty casually, but you can see that he has the badge of the Sharif. And he waits for your landing to finish and for the door to open, and he will kind of cough to clear some of the dust. And he's like, Captain?
Yes, greetings.
How are you? How are you?
Fine. This is just a quick stop. We've got a cargo of some religious icons that we're here to sell.
Oh, that's not a great trade good for this this area, but you're welcome.
Well, what can you do? It's we had to pick something up for this load, and we got a tip that this might be an okay location. I mean, obviously we're not going to make a lot of money off this
Yeah,
run.
I would perhaps give your regards to your tipster.
Well, hell, at least it's a vacation spot, right?
Well, yes, and he says that there are some spots that you can relax at, he says, in a meaningful way. There's also a diving center. If you enjoy diving, we have the lake itself is beautiful and deep and has a lovely set of flora and fauna to it. And there's a person who does tours, shows how to do the dives and so on. But I'm assuming you're want me to call a transport to get you to the city.
That would be lovely. Thanks.
Okay. And he does this thing where he hits his clicker, and he says it'll be about 15 minutes. Why don't you and your crew get yourself settled, and they should be here shortly. And he doesn't do a customs check.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything. It's all, if you're coming here, this is not a place that people, I mean, maybe you're smuggling drugs or whatever, but they'll catch that later.
Yeah. I mean, I'll offer him an iced tea or something.
Yeah, he'll come in and sit. He's older. He has that look of a person who has been sequestered to this job. It could be worse. I mean, he has a position of some authority here, so he will drink that. Ask the most casual of questions, like he knows that if you're coming here, there's a story to it, and he doesn't necessarily want to get caught up in it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, give him a few like law enforcement anecdotes that I've got from my previous time, and I'm sort of trying to feel him out, find out who are the people here that I need to watch out for, who really runs things here.
Let's have you scope it out.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, during that firefight, I got an advance and I upgraded.
I'm shocked you got no.
Yeah, I upgraded my volatile.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's an 11.
So you will definitely get the sense from him that there is a place of relaxation that has some pull called the Well of Dreams. It's kind of hard to see from the air. It's kind of built a little bit low. but it is a place of courtesans and courtiers and so on to relax, and miners will come here, nomads will come here, people will come from in system to relax here. So that place has some pull. You will also hear that the petroleum factory, the central hub of that, is overseen by a person we'll simply call Omar, who handles that. He has a position of power in the area. And there are some black marketeers and people who skirt the law significantly. And the person that you get the name of, a criminal contact that probably, if anything you want to find out about, is a woman named Sedja. Do you have a follow-up question I can answer for you?
What here will give me an edge?
Let me think here. What's a good thing? I think that, how do I want to put this? I think that you have some, at least, contacts with some of like distant with Sedge's people, like you know a guy who knows a guy. So if you come in, you're not necessarily going to be perceived as absolute outsiders. Like if you run those criminal contacts, people are going to treat you decently. Does that seem fair?
Yeah. And I get one more question. So
Yes.
what is about to happen?
There's clearly some nervousness here, an undercurrent of some tension from the Sharif and from others. And no one is spelling it out, but you will hear via the grapevine that there have been some murders recently. And deaths in this kind of place, that happens. But the way that people are saying murders says to you that there's something else involved, and that there's probably some people looking around to find out what's going on with that. And if not, the way they're talking about it, you may suspect that there may be more murders in the offing.
Okay.
Let's, since we're on planet, I in case we can get Leandra in, let's take our 5-minute break here. And when we come back, I want to talk to Kala and Kyrie about what they're doing, and we'll move forward on details. Sound cool?
Okay.
Okay. Leandro.
Hello.
Andrew.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
So let me give you, Leandro, the quick 1 minute pitch about where we're at. And then I'm going to talk with Kala and Kyrie about what they want to do, and then I'll come to you, Recusant. There was the name Brudu Khan, one of the people you're looking for. He is used to be wealthy, lost a lot of his money, now a fixer on the planet of Lubao, in particular at this sort of industrial oasis, population of maybe between 1,000 and 1,500, different buildings around there. It surrounds a lake. The group has just arrived to start looking into this. This is a weird planet that faces the sun on one side, stays stationary. So where we're at, this oasis is in a band that is habitable, petroleum, industrial things going on around outside. And the captain has picked up, they haven't really looked into Brudu Khan yet, but they've picked up that there's some strangeness happening and some killings recently. And that is sort of the stage that has been set for the group at this point. Does that seem cool? Any questions before I move on?
No, that seems cool. I'll pick up as I watch.
Yeah, Kyrie has finally come out of his cabin. That was the fiction that we had for you last time. Is that you were kind of burnt out.
Can't anymore. Just go away and leave me alone.
Let's start with you, Kyrie, and then let's go to Kala. When you land on planet, you get that rover that will head you over to I'm going to say city because that's what always comes to mind, but it is more of a town. Everything here is done in stone, sandstone, and essentially plascrete. And everything's built down into the ground. So we're talking a little bit like Tatooine, where we've got maybe a half level up above, and then everything else is built down below to keep it cool here. So it's a very, very low horizon you can see across the town here. But there are people coming back and forth. Some of them clearly local, some of them petroleum miners, some of them travelers, that kind of thing. So what is it you want to do?
So can I do something actually before the transport picks us up from the sort of custom station?
Sure, absolutely.
So in that like 15 minutes, because I mean, I have a new toy in my brain and I want to play with it. Okay. So I think in that like 15 minutes while we're waiting for a ride, Kyrie will pull out like a prayer mat, and sort of set it up where he's like close to that guy's station, and begin praying and like tracing some of the runes and scripture on his arms, and trying to focus, because I mean, this is like a customs landing agent. His computer has got to be hooked up to a lot of general information on what's going on and like who's on or off this planet.
Sure.
So specifically, I'm looking for any indication that like the Hounds or the Order, their ship with those transponder codes, that sort of thing, has gotten here before us, because historically they've gotten places before us.
Let's have you roll with calculating.
All right. So just to read the virtual interface, when you act with computer systems, discharge this modification and interact with the system as though it were a real physical space. Which is sort of interesting. Triggering moves like you normally would. I'm still terrible at this. That's a 5.
So I think this is the first time you've really tried to use this, right?
Oh yeah. I'm trying to be subtle and smart about it. I'm going to have you mark a stress.
and what goes wrong? What happens here? It's the first time you really opened yourself up to this kind of thing. What goes wrong?
So I think like leaning into the hook of I'm not used to the information overload from it. Maybe it's just that like Kyrie goes into a speed of thought Wikipedia clickhole of like there are so many links and so much information to look at. His brain is just like opening up more than this computer can handle at once, or more than its safety protocols will allow at once. And something goes haywire with the computer as he's just pulling on like all this random useless information.
And the next thing you know, that Sharif is shaking you. He's got a bottle of water that has got to your lips. He's clearly assumed that you've gotten some kind of heat stroke, and that the second that he's seen you kind of start to totter, he's run over and he's like, "Oh, take it easy, Here, drink carefully."
What I thank you. It's just there's something about this planet, the light.
The light and the magnosphere, all of that can affect people strangely here. He'll hand you this bottle. He says, drink and sip from this when you get on the bus. Make sure you keep yourself under cover. You're going to want to be careful.
There's just a little bit more darkness. Cool.
Kala, what are you up to? We can do this then when you arrive in town, kind of thing, or however you want to do that.
So I was not that thrilled about coming here, and then you mentioned that library. And so now I'm trying to figure out how I can introduce that the library is a critical part of what we're doing here. So sort of
is it, or are you manipulating things to that end?
Exactly. So I think like my whole gambit is maybe we should go to the library. I wonder if that's why Pbta came here. It might be a treasure trove of information about these old gates, because it's pre-Portal Wars.
I mean, and I am skeptical that this has anything to do with Pbta, but I'm actually interested in this stuff, so I'm cool with this.
So oddly enough, it's the first place we stop.
Okay. So he'll say, if you say to the driver, we want to go to the library first, he's like, okay, well, that's counterclockwise around the lake from the town, but we can do that.
Yes. That sounds lovely.
Okay. And this puts him in the mind that you are tourists, rather than anything else.
And so, well, then that's good, because we'll ask him about the lake and all the places to go there.
He says, if you really want to experience, you need to go over to the diving area. Zen Mall does these beautiful dives down. It's lovely, and depending on your tastes, the Well of Dreams it costs a pretty penny, but it is known to have fabulous entertainments. This place, the library you're going to, is a little more restrained.
Libraries tend to be. That is okay. Let's see, who keeps the library up?
There is an order that oversees it. And when you arrive here, you will see there is a large chunk of stone that this library is built into. Grab something really quick here. In the wrong place. I actually have a map that I'm going to look at here.
Okay.
Get the location. So from where you're at the spaceport, you will actually drive counterclockwise around. Imagine that the spaceport is at, say, 5 o'clock. As you drive along at about 4 o'clock, there is this beautiful estate.
Oh, we ask about it. We can ask.
That is where Omar, he oversees the factory. He points to the factory areas that are out sort of beyond the ridge there. But this is clearly a ton of money poured into this beautiful, beautiful white stone estate. A lot more industrial cooling and things like that here. And then it will continue on along the lake until he hits the base of some heights, like you can see the raising, and the driver will say, "I don't drive up there. You can walk up to the library. It's about an hour's walk up there."
Ooh.
I will wait here, or you can call me when you are done and I will come.
Okay. I sort of look back and make sure it's okay with everyone else, but she bounces out. So.
Do the roads not go that far?
They're not good for us traveling up, and this is a sacred area.
Kyrie will get very like, ugh, out of the car.
And you can walk up to this area of stone that you can see once had several beautiful carved domes that must have had etch work and tracings and so on, but over the years the dust and sand has worn that down. But there, all that splendor is kind of gone, but the building is still here. Everything looks like it's lit by lanterns and candles. There's no machinery or electronics or anything like that here. And when you go in, you get that cool of being inside a stone building. And there's a arched corridor that leads deeper into the hillside, into a library of various materials, paper, metal, all kinds of different ways there. And there is an order here that will assist you if you have questions.
I have so many questions.
I'll come back to you on that question. How about
Okay.
that? And we can do this at different spots and different times here. Recusant, what's on your mind, either at the station or at the museum, at the library, or after the library? What do you think?
Ooh. Let's see. Last time we saw Recusant, it was a fairly nice moment, I guess. Praying with Kalaba.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to get their mind on the mission, given that we're still in the where the hell is this guy phase.
Mm-hmm.
So their mind is wandering a bit. I think mostly their mind is wandering to that project of theirs, which is like one tick away from finishing. It's probably a dereliction of duty, but this is how they're dealing with things.
Yeah, and you're kind of, as they are exploring the library, looking around, moving, they're asking questions of things. You probably kind of step outside and you will see kind of up the ridge line a little ways, kind of looking down at the library, you'll see this cloaked figure. It's hard to see their gender or age or anything like that. I mean, mostly what you see is they're very thin boned and they're kind of looking down and watching the library as your group has arrived and is kind of milling about, some of you outside.
I'm gonna wave at them.
She waves. You can tell it's a woman now, older, and nods and bows. courteously.
Okay. I'm not really interested in this library. But because probably because it's nothing to do with Berticon, and also I don't care about warp gates. So I think while they're hanging out with the candles and whatnot, I'm gonna make my way to this hooded figure.
And you will clamber up the slope to where this woman is. She kind of stands there waiting, kind of perfectly balanced there. And you will get up to where she's at, and you, weathered face. This is a person who's been in the outdoors for years, skin tanned from the sunlight. And she looks at you and she says, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
I am well. I am Masiri.
Siri. Well, since you said your name, call me recusant, I guess. Do you mind
Are
if I ask?
you here for me or here for you?
Actually, I'm not sure. It's a bit of a big question these days. Not exactly sure what I'm for, but I guess I'll ask the same. What are you here for?
I am here to shed my burdens, perhaps help others shed theirs. And she gestures out a ways into the, further on. She says, I have a hermitage a ways out there where I sit and meditate and think on things. Sometimes people come, like yourself.
What do these people who come, what do they usually do then when they meet someone like you?
Well, they're either here to wash the blood from their hands, or they're here to kill me.
Well, if they're here to kill you, they must be piss poor at their job.
No.
Or you're quite something. Sorry. I think
You're not ready to lay down your burdens yet, are you?
I thought I wasn't, but recently, I think they've been doing this a lot. They've been kind of like touching the edge of their eye patch, where their eye used to be, and well, I did think for a while I could just keep running, but turns out that's just incredibly tiring.
It is. Because you carry so much with you.
All right, I'll bite. What do I need to do to lay down these burdens of mine?
To start, you have to name them. You have to catalog what you've done and think on them.
Wow, that's...
And she raises her hand and she says, and you have to admit to yourself that while the burden is yours, you were pushed into these things.
I think that strikes a chord, not a nerve, but in between a chord and a nerve. Which
it's a quarter nerve.
A quarter nerve. Yeah, a curve. Okay. Stop. Yeah, I think that I think something in Ricky's again twitches when when Masari says that. Says like, I okay, all right. I don't know what you think you're seeing when you're looking at me, but I don't want to believe you figured me out that well. Or is that what you think? You think you've figured this all out for me?
I know you because I was you.
I think okay. Here, Rakusen says, "Show me."
I will not, unless you wish to try to kill me.
What happened to those who failed to kill you? Oh, well, that's a stupid question. If you know what I am, if you know if you were what I was, and the answer's obvious, isn't it?
It is. My Hermitage is there. If you decide you wish to begin to find some peace, come and see me.
I think Rakusen like turns to like look back at the library where everyone else is, and it's a moment where like when they have to be professional, they should stick with their crew. And then there's a moment where like, you know what, I'm allowed my own selfish bullshit, selfish bullshit every now and then. I've been doing a lot of supporting everyone else. I'm allowed to do this. So I think I'll turn back to sorry and say like, fine. I'll go. Take me to your hermitage or whatever.
Okay. And she will begin walking that way, and she is quiet as she walks. Captain, we're going to resolve Kava's library investigation in a sec too, to kind of do that, because we're kind of moving a little bit out of sequence here. Do you want to? We can do you researching here, or we can do you noticing recusant gone, or we can do something forward when you get to town. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I think he's actually going to spend a little time researching what they know about the gates, because this ties into his exact sort of obsession with the old lost gates. And
Then let's have you roll calculating.
that's 12. No, an 11.
Someone has very clearly, over time, excised some of the things that you would wish to find. When you ask the caretaker, the priest, sometimes people are bad. Sometimes they cut things. Sometimes they steal things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is probably even more interesting than any information they would have had. So I'm going to see if I can figure out who did this, who was interested in this information enough to get rid of it.
This has happened over the last few years, and definitely at some point when you kind of ask around, when they're naming people who come, Budokan's name pops up.
Okay, so Kala had good instincts.
The caretaker says he's a strange one. Never seems like a scholar, but he comes and visits from time to time.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask what they know about him. What any information I can get from them about him.
He is. I know he travels about, sometimes with the nomads, sometimes otherwise. I know he was at Mahrabi until a few years ago, the greater city, before he moved here to the Mahanji Oasis. I know that he has made enemies. He's been injured by those enemies. I know that his enemies have bad luck, and that some people say that he is sponsored by someone or something. He just strikes me as strange.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to thank them, and I mean, I commiserate about the damage to the library. I'm very sympathetic.
And he talks about preservation and all of that kind of thing here. Let's do Kala, and then let's do Kyrie. Does that seem like a fair order for that? Kala, you have access to this massive library. You know what the captain has found out. What is it that you want to do?
So one of the things is a lot of this stuff falls into my specialty of
Mhm.
things that I studied. So I think that I would like to try to find, because I know that there's materials missing, but those are the materials that were in the most grossly obvious place. A lot of these things, the real heavy duty theoretical work is often sort of kept in the more with the religious texts and things like that. So I will go and take a look on that path and try essentially a different path of different things, trying to understand if the stuff was filed that way, because that would be the older works or the deeper works. But the other thing is if he hit that, it's going to tell me, how do you say, what part of the icons he's attuned to.
Sure. Let's have you roll with your share expertise. And I think this definitely follows under your area of expertise. So you can get the extra question or the additional information, however you want to play that from your expert move.
Okay, so that's like adding calculating, right?
It is.
Okay, let's see.
There's almost no chance you could fail.
So I got a 13.
Damn it. I guess I got a lot of fails early out of the group, so I can't be too miffed.
I mean, if we're doing anything other than scoping it out, then I'm dying all over the place.
So let me give you some information, and then I'm going to let you follow up.
Okay.
The texts here are more esoteric, more obscure than the other things you've looked at regarding the disc and things. And it's the first time that you see a set of references like names and things that you saw earlier, and you begin to put together. And one of the things that it ties back to is the idea that these discs are inherently dangerous because they call to the Jinn.
Is that one of the denizens of the dark?
Jinn or the Ifrit. These are things from between the dark. Some of them are simply powerful beings. Some of them are more dangerous. They are potent forces that are known about. And some people say that the discs were made by the Jinn. Some people say that the discs themselves contain a Jinn.
Oh, interesting.
I'll let you ask a follow-up.
I think knowing that, I'm going to follow up and find out more about the Jinn to see if that's a place where Berticon went as well with his excising.
Okay. How about this? I'll let you later on look at the Jin and Ifrit material that's in the Coriolis book to
Sure.
give you some context. Does that seem fair?
Sure, that sounds perfect because right now I'm clueless.
Okay. So essentially, these are forces. These are figures that are mystical beings that are known to exist in this setting. And there are lots of course, legends and things around and about them.
Are they always hostile?
No, they are not. But they are always serving their own alien ends.
Yes. So they may grant your wish, but maybe not the way you mean it. Or they might just burn you up.
Kyrie, speaking of burning out.
Excuse you.
Yeah, you were there. Do you see recusant leave? Do you want to investigate the library? What is it you want to do?
I don't see recusant leave, but I'm going. Kyrie is like, okay, we're in this giant library, can really research into something. All I have to do is just be more careful this time. And you see him sort of like hesitating near one of these terminals, and just
There are
flashes
no
of like,
terminals in this library.
what?
It is all paper and metal. It is old scribes and things like that.
What is this nonsense?
You like look around for the terminal and no, we use, I mean, that's why we have lanterns and so on. We don't have anything mechanized here.
I mean, he definitely doesn't believe them. So he's like stalking around looking for something. And I think it's in the process of that he sort of slowly realizes that recusant isn't anywhere around here. And I want to try and follow them, see what, like, if recusant has gotten into danger, or if someone's like gotten to us silent. That seems insane. Recusant is like super ninja, but something's up.
I think we see you come up, look around, and kind of move up the hillside, and you see recusant walking out further inwards away from the lake, out into effectively the desert, with this other very slight cloaked figure.
Looks very like narrowed eyes, suspicious. And I'll begin, like, hit the chameleon suit and begin following after them because it's the best protection. No one would ever see through it. But I'm very suspicious and trying to figure out what's going on here. So I think maybe like gaze into the dark as I'm coming up behind them.
Absolutely.
That's that. I'm trying to find out what this woman recusant was talking to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find out what her intentions are. It's a 7. I got a 7.
Ask and the dark will answer, but it leaves its mark on you. Mark a stress, and then I will ask a question after you ask.
What is her interest in recusant?
It is all sympathy and empathy that you feel from her. Understanding. And you can feel that she genuinely wants to help recusant. but she also genuinely realizes how difficult that will be.
Help recusant with what? Everything seems fine.
Yeah. And then the dark gets to ask you a question. Here's the dark's question for you. Where are you?
Oh, fuck. No.
Mark a stress. Like
Darkness
you
get
really
real
feel
personal.
it like something out there has felt your presence. And
yeah, that's weird because like Kyrie doesn't really believe he could be hiding from the dark. So yeah, that speaks to another's intention wielding the dark or using it against Kyrie in some way.
Oh yeah.
That's fine. That's not frightening at all. Yeah, I mean, start moving closer to try and get within range where I might be able to like eavesdrop on them. Again,
Okay.
completely unnoticed because I'm a super ninja.
That's right. Let me do recusant, and then let me come back to Nikos and Kala. Okay, does that seem fair? Recusant, she leads you to this stone hermitage with steps that go down. It is very well maintained, but it is still very primitive. You can see that she has a place to cook. She has her water reclamation things there, and you can see that she has sort of bound notebooks and a few other goods, but is otherwise very basic. She says, come and sit.
Yeah, I'll sit down cautiously.
What is it that you regret now? Is it that people died? Is it that you left? Is it that you haven't yet gotten revenge?
I think there's like a long pause as recusant kind of like mulls all that over. Big question. And I think the answer is I regret not leaving sooner. I'd like to think if I had the wherewithal or the means or just the notion to leave, there'd be less of them in me. And it's been so much. It takes so much to try and get it all out.
It is a weight, it is a measure, and if it is, then it can be changed. And she settles herself down to meditate. Says, are you ready to think on those names? Are you ready to imagine the other paths?
I'm ready to be anything else but who I am right now.
And I think actually that's probably the line that Kyrie will pick up. Does that seem right? We'll come back and do that little interaction between Leandro and between Recusant and Kyrie in just a sec here, since I think we've got something really well set up there. Nikos, what are you up to? We can do a thing cutting forward. We can do the scene here. What would you like?
Yeah, I feel like I've probably gotten everything out of the library that I'm going to get. So at some point, I think I'm going to be getting in touch with those contacts
Okay.
and getting the local lay of the land.
Sure. Let's have you roll with calculating.
Five.
I think that you will talk to your contacts and they are very nervous and they will say, look, you've got to be really careful. There have been some killings around here and people are very leery about outsiders here and very leery about anyone acting out of the ordinary.
Well,
There's a vigilance group right now. So I mean, this is a colonial world. It can get rough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to step on any toes. I mean, that's why I came to you guys. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I'm not here to make trouble.
He says, then you just keep your head down. The one you're looking for, Buddha Khan, he is not beloved, but we've seen that he has allies.
Yeah, any idea who's backing him? I mean, everyone seems to know that he's got a backer, but nobody seems to know who this backer is. It's like
all I know is that Buddha Khan has done good work and fucked around work, in mixed measure. And when those kinds of things happen, people come and they go to injure, break a leg, that kind of thing. And Buddha Khan has taken those kinds of hits over the years. But inevitably, those who have done that end up parched or end up in an accident. So I don't know if he has an assassin or if he's just lucky or the icons. He is beloved of the icons, but people don't fuck with him now.
Well, I mean, maybe we can get what we want without fucking with him, but
hopefully. Kala.
Yes.
Do we want to cut forward? Do we want to do some other looking here?
Do ask fairly directly where Buddha-Khan is.
Like,
I asked the librarian what they know about where he is right now.
As I say, he wanders about. I know he has places that he has in and around the Oasis, people that, but he travels around and about, is my understanding.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Your library is lovely. I will leave some coins in the offering plate. So, and then, when we get out, I will go, hey, these discs are supposed to attract jinn. Everyone's talking about that weird luck that he has. That could be Dark Dutch or that could be jinn. So we want to keep an eye out. I did have a little chance to look through. Let's just say, can I do a sort of scope it out?
Sure.
For the sense of what kind of things we'd be looking for for either of those. Now that I have that sense of, I'm going to go if it's one of those, because to her that's not supernatural. That's the unknown forces, which
Sure.
isn't her specialty. But
Let's have you roll with calculating.
okay. So that's an 8.
So you get one question.
Sure. What here is not what it seems.
The Jinn and the Ifrit are powerful. They can, if they wish, pass among humanity and things, but they leave a big ripple, is what you've heard, or they keep themselves completely concealed. Whatever's going on with Budokan seems weird. Like you don't think it. I mean, it has to be something different than say a Jinn or a Ifrit blessing, but maybe not entirely unlike that.
Okay.
Especially if these discs contain a Jinn.
Oh yeah.
Maybe he just has a fragment of one. And can you imagine what that would be like?
No, I can't. It seems uncomfortable for everyone involved, though.
Especially since you already have 2 of these discs.
Yes, but they've been totally friendly to me.
Absolutely.
She absentmindedly spins one.
Kyrie, you hear Recusant speak with that level of guilt.
So I think like crouched outside the hut and still not really trusting this situation fully, because nothing's ever that easy or seems that nice. Kairu was basically like reaching out and preparing to like dive into that woman's brain. And I think just hearing that line and the shock of it sort of misdirects things towards Recusant.
All right. You are going to be rolling this with disadvantage, actually.
That makes sense.
Well, there's something else going on here, but yes, you're going to be rolling it with disadvantage, and afterwards I'll explain.
All right. So, disadvantage mind spike on my dear friend who I love very much, and you're a wonderful player, Leandro, and I'm very sorry about all of this. That's a 5 plus my volatile, which I think is only a 1.
So that is a 6.
It is that.
I think that when you reach out and spend your energy out, you actually hit against something around this hermitage. Some kind of protection, some kind of barrier, and it spikes into your own brain like driving a knife into it. And I'm going to have you mark a stress. And I think you will kind of collapse down the steps into this hermitage.
It's nothing quite so undramatic. That's 4 stress, which leaves me 1 more stress to take, but that's also 4 darkness, which is the top of that track.
Okay. And what happens?
When you gain darkness, when you gain darkness while at your maximum capacity.
So
okay, so I've got 1 more before that explodes.
At the very tippy top. Recusant, you see Kyrie comes tumbling down these stairs, camo suit on, face kind of exposed here as he kind of lands there. This woman doesn't move. She just sits there.
Yeah, I'm not that calm. I think I God no. I think the commotion, I immediately just kind of like stand up, and I've pulled out a. Let's see, what is my sidearm? I'm not gonna pull out the big Stupid rifle. Yeah, okay, it's just a cricket. But yeah, I think I just kind of pull that out and immediately kind of go towards whoever the figure. Then I see that, oh God, it's Kyrie.
Fritzing camo suit.
She says, "You should be careful. Your friend is in a bad way."
Oh, lady, I need a lot of things from you, but I don't need you to tell me that. I think I didn't direct my attention to Kyrie. What the hell are you doing here?
I was worried. Worried you left. I was afraid she was gonna do something awful to your brain. My brain, by the way, really hurts.
Really, your brain hurts. Huh. All right, hold on. And I think I'm just gonna grab you and stand you up.
Go. What are you doing here?
Frankly, I'm like 40% sure of what I'm doing here, but I'm fine. Don't look. It was nice of you to worry, but I'm fine right now.
You're not fine. None of us are fine. They're after us and they keep getting closer and we don't have any more answers than we started with. Just
all
more
right.
questions, weirder questions, and more dangerous people. Eyeing the woman. Or the house, whichever.
Well, okay, yeah, you're not wrong. None of us are fine. Even Kala, who's the most fine of us, isn't really that fine. But okay. Sorry, Sherry. Okay, all right. I don't know what it is, but okay, no, you know you can find it out yourself. You can touch the dark in a way we can't.
Don't talk about it. Someone is out there. Someone is pushing, listening. There's something wrong. I've never felt anything like this.
That is why this place is protected.
Kyrie, look, I think I throw a glance at the sorry. It's like, okay, cool. Look back at Kyrie. It's like, I understand. Look, I'm not an idiot. I can see. I know there's things chasing us, things chasing you, things chasing Nikos. I don't call him Captain. But for the first time in a very long time, I think I'm figuring things out for myself, about myself. And I think I really need to push on with what's being offered here. And I appreciate you looking out for me. But I'm close to something. I don't know what happens if I don't get even just an inch of it here.
If you're close, then you need to take us with you. Take me with you.
I don't know if I want to.
Oh my.
Oh no! Is this gonna happen again? Is
Yeah.
this the thing? Oh no! Wait, no! Let me. Okay.
We're real close. How about that?
Okay. All right. No, unlike last time, recusant will explain themselves instead of just being a dick. Because not, and I think they probably noticed that, like, I don't know, something about you spikes up or flares up a bit.
Oh, those eyes are glowing.
Okay. And look, it's not because I don't trust you, Kyrie. It's just there are things about me I don't want people to see. Especially someone like you. Because, look, you kind of wear your scars, well, not proudly, but you don't hide them. I've been very good at hiding mine. And I don't know if I want to show them to anyone else yet.
I know what it's like to have other voices in your head, other people's words and ideas. There's none of that, even if it gets inside of you, that changes what you are, who you are. You're not someone who needs to hide. You're something beautiful and unique in this galaxy. And I couldn't lose that. I couldn't lose you.
Ooh, geez, I don't know how to respond to that.
You hesitate, and this woman says,
Mhm.
Recusant, before you come here, you should say whatever you need to say to your companions. And you should take this one with you, guard them back, because there are things that are looking for him. And then, if you wish to return, you may.
I think that with that reassurance kind of like helps. and Rikisen says, with no help. I think that they turn to look back at Nazari and say like, well, if nothing's killed you yet, don't start now, because I'll be back for sure. And then they turn to look at Kyrie and say like, I don't know. The very flattering words. But part of this whole deal is I've spent a good chunk of time presenting an idea, and I don't know if you've fallen in love with that idea. But for one thing, my name isn't fucking Recusant. That's just what I ask people to call me. But I don't know.
Well, I do. I know exactly what you need. You need to try and explain all of this to Kala. I'd like to see you try and get this idiotic take care of everything by yourself logic over on her.
I think that actually makes them laugh.
Kyrie starts like dragging you down the hill again.
Let's in interest of kind of moving things forward a little bit, let's cut back. Let's imagine there's an awkward, weird silence on the ride back, maybe punctuated by Kala telling you all these wonderful things that she's found out as she goes along. Let's kind of cut to you at the going back to the main town itself. Does that seem fair? Such that you can contact people, figure out where you want to go, look into things, all of that. Captain Nikos, there is the equivalent of a hotel here for people who are traveling through, who want a little more luxury to their stay. Of course, the concierge mentions in passing, the Well of Dreams is, if you wish to go there, and they mention the diving again. There seems to be very few touristy things here, so that everyone mentions the same ones.
Yeah.
And let's have a group meeting then with the group back at the this hotel, a chance to talk with each other. We'll assume that you've put down whatever devices that Recusant has to prevent people eavesdropping electronically or otherwise on you.
All right. And I take the opportunity to tell them all the terrible symptoms of attracting a djinn, and that the discs are associated with that.
Wait, you put them together and they summon a djinn?
Summon, or maybe they contain them, and when they're all together, then he's not contained or otherwise contained. Who knows? It's a mystery. I found all that out of the library.
It sounds like an explosive mystery.
Yes, that's the thing that I like about libraries.
It could just be a metaphor.
You think? I was thinking about all the weird stories that they tell about Pbta. And here's the thing. I don't think it's out and out like a djinn blessing. But maybe if he has a piece of the djinn consciousness following around a little bit, that's the side effect. I mean, they're super powerful.
Even if it's a metaphor, it's not really a metaphor for something good, is it?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, if there's some weird monster thing that he's summoned with this disc, that would explain why nobody knows who his backers are.
Yep.
And if we can figure out how to counter it, that'll give us the edge we need to get the disc from him.
Truth. He's definitely tried to hide any information about the gates or the discs, but not all of the stuff about the discs. So that's interesting. I mean, if he's doing it, he's trying to cover his trail, or he's trying to keep someone else from doing what he did. I mean, he did pick this place of all places.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to think we aren't going to be able to make a deal with him, which means that we're going to have to take some more direct action. So this could be dangerous.
Well, I might point out that lots of people have been talking about the murders, and they clearly have no sense of it. Could it be that he's, being hunted?
Mm.
And that essentially what you're getting is a trail behind that?
Or Pbta is doing the hunting. He's got this genie creature attacking his enemies, or maybe he's losing control of it and it's killing at random.
Every time we've gotten near a piece of this, the hounds have gotten there first. The order is swooped in before we can even get there.
That's what I'm talking about. If
That's
he's being hunted.
That's a good point, Kyrie. We need to act fast.
Need to act together. It's a group. It's dangerous to try and take on these things alone.
Oh my God!
I give Kyrie a look as if like you've been doing some thinking in your bunk, huh?
And Kella doesn't blink. She just pats your knee and says, "Exactly." like it doesn't even occur to her that there's a difference from. I think we can do this. The thing that we have to recognize is, since I have the disc with us, that we might have an interesting interaction, and I don't know if it'll be to our advantage or not.
Yeah, let's find that out first.
Is there any way that we can prepare something with the discs? Like if we can interfere with with whatever summoning he's been doing,
Or you said
I
there's
think
some
there's
sort
some
of resonance.
Resonance, I think, might be the better way to put it. If it was full on gin, yeah, it would be huge. It would be very recognizable what's happened.
But if there's a resonance between the pieces, is there some way we can use that to track him down?
Oh, yes, but only short term. I mean, and not that close. We have to get within a couple miles.
Well, but if he's using the, maybe that's somehow amplifying this. I mean, have you tried? Maybe he's somehow amplifying the signal by activating the disk. It could be there could be a stronger connection.
But like maybe he is. But here's the thing: is why now? He's being hunted, so we are probably the least of his concerns. Does that make any sense?
Being hunted, it's a scary thing. Having people you don't know after you, it's terrifying. It makes you do stupid things. It makes you strike out on your own and try things that are too dangerous.
Huh, never thought of that. Seems kind of illogical.
People don't always think straight when they're in danger.
That's exactly the time to think.
Eyes across the table.
I get none of the subtext there.
Subtext for cowards.
Okay. So, well, I mean, it's an interesting thing. I guess we could assume hostility, or we could try to be helpful and see if that would work. There's two different approaches. We are not certainly there to seize and kill, but to find out about it.
Well, the first thing we need to do is find him, find Berticon, and then we can figure out whether he's being hunted or he's doing the hunting. Either way, something's happened recently that's gotten things moving. Whether he's hunted or he discovered something. But I don't know if we can answer that now unless we find him soon.
Well, exactly. Luckily we have an expert tracker person who can track people down and find people who don't want to be found. And we have an expert in the tech to try and follow the signal of this thing. Think of the things we can do together.
Okay. That sounds fun.
Oh, that was all the
Is it
details
just
I had.
Oh, okay. Well, I would think that we would want to start that probably the trail of murders might give us some sense of where he's at least moving towards, or moving, like how he's moving. And then we could always try asking directly. We really haven't done that. But we could draw attention to ourselves. Right now we look very much like tourists, so maybe we should keep that going for a while.
Right.
But let's find out about the murders.
And that's a logical suggestion. Maybe they've got something in common that the people here have they've overlooked because they don't have the information that we have.
Exactly.
So, shall we do kind of a once around for info gathering, or using the disc to create resonance, or whatever you want to do? If you want to jury rig or whatnot. Let's start with you, Captain Nikos.
Yeah, I'm going to gather whatever local information there is about the murders. Just go around asking questions, exploiting whatever contacts I have.
Let's have you use expertise here. Unless you've got a move that helps you with this.
No. Okay, that's calculating. So that's.
I'm going to say you get to roll this with advantage because you have X agent.
All right. That's a 9.
That is a 9. So you will ask around about this. I'll tell you the 3 sort of local murders, and then there's another one that is kind of related, but I'll talk about this. There are 3 locals that have been killed in the last year, and the indications you have is that the murders were done in a way that people describe as ritual. There's some suggestion in this that people aren't talking about, that maybe even some kind of consumption or cannibalism. It's unclear, but certainly ritual. And they're suspecting some kind of patterned killer. But the 3 people who were killed locally were very, very different. The furthest one out was one of these prospectors, a guy named Irfan, who his only claim to fame was that he was super lucky. Like, he was a wildcat prospector who did very well out here. The next one was a local woman who'd moved here from Mehrabi, who was a fortune teller who was plying her trade with the prospectors and the locals around here. Had managed to get hired by the Well of Dreams. And then the last one was a teenager who had been sick for a couple of months, had fits and attacks, and they found his body. They initially assumed he had some kind of attack and had fallen out in the desert, but the body showed apparently the signs of this ritual murder. The last one was an arrival who arrived here about a week and a half ago. A guy who people describe as looking particularly dangerous. And he ended up dead out in the desert after a few days. They don't know if there was some kind of thing that happened, like he pissed somebody off or he was here to do something. But the thing that strikes you about this one is they mention the same ritual thing, and they also mentioned that guy's brothers are in town to claim the body.
Okay.
So that is the cursory information that'll allow you to draw the conclusions from on that. Recusant, what are you doing?
My computer froze up there for a moment.
Oh, that's okay. Recusant, what are you doing?
Okay, yeah. All right, I'm back. Let's see. Nico's looking into the murders. And Kala is probably doing some tech thing. I think I'm gonna try to look in to see if anyone else has been looking for Burdacon. If we have to contend with third parties.
Oh, sure. Let's have you roll calculating.
Cool. Oh, there we go. Sorry, my computer's slowed down immensely. Ooh, that is, unless I have a -2 in calculation, which I don't think I have. What do I have? Okay, that's a 12.
Okay, you get 3 questions from Scope It Out on the Sitch. You can modify those questions as you wish.
Yeah. I think what this looks like is recusants in town asking their own contacts, probably some like
Deep network.
Deep network. They're tapping into like, oh, okay, here's kind of like who the assassin contact who normally probably wouldn't be talked to by any members of the order unless there's something really important, or if recusant is around, because they use those contacts willy-nilly. So I think the first question is, who's really in control here?
Well, I'll modify that fitting into the questions you were asking about Burdacon. Definitely these 3 that arrived, these 3 brothers, are definitely spending some money and definitely like looking for they're asking around, not so much about Verticon, but they are definitely asking about the murders. And they clearly are looking to find out who killed this other guy, who looks like he was, some kind of dangerous dude who arrived here. And they will say the guy who got killed was a psychic assassin named Guvend. He was fleeing from Coriolis, and he apparently landed here to lay low for a few weeks.
Huh.
These three guys are his, like, people who were here to pick him up.
Right. You don't normally find psychic assassins.
No, not very powerful, but enough to use it to make his targets unwary, that kind of thing. That's what we've heard. It's the reason why I don't trust mystics, psychics.
Yeah, you and me both. They Christian says offhand, not really realizing what they just said.
What's your next question?
What here's not what it appears to be. Like, I think this is just them trying to like penetrate to a few layers of just secrecy and whatever's happening. Like, what's something that's really like they would notice that's off kilter.
Off kilter in relation to that. I think it's that these guys, like these brothers, really don't have an idea of what happened. Like they sent their brother or their boss here to lay low, and he got killed, and he shouldn't have gotten killed. And they're checking around, and they can't figure out what happened. Like they look like they're together, like they are, a crack team, but they're really weirded out by this. And they're also, they don't blend in particularly well here.
Oh, these poor dears. And I think the last question is, what is about to happen?
Well, I suspect that eventually someone's going to mention Verdukan to them as a guy who, when people screw with him, people end up dead. And that's going to get back to them.
Oh, God. Oh, they better not do anything foolish if that were to happen.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds fair.
Kala.
Yes. I am going to put together something that will assist with the residents of the what you call it, the discs finding each other. So I would like to do that. Now
You have jury rig.
I have jury rig. I also have a project that I had already started, and I have two things on it. So I don't know if that might be a better way to go about it.
Let's do the jury rig, I think.
Okay.
Here.
All right, sounds good, except I just closed my sheet. Now I had to find it again.
Sad trombone.
I know. Here we go. I'll get it. Crew. So we're going to do jury rig. I got to read it and see what I'm supposed to do here. Calculating. All right. And this is on.
Yeah, your jury rig is just below your academic move.
Yep, I found it.
Good.
Okay, so I rolled an 11. I add 3. That's 14. So it was a pretty solid jury rig.
Choose 2.
Okay, so I think It won't take long to do it because that's why we're doing it this way.
Okay.
And
I love the next choice here.
I know. It won't break the first time I use it because that's the most interesting one. It leaves that it may not do exactly what I want.
I think you have to rig up this device. You kind of put the discs in it, you rig this thing up, you're reading the resonance of this thing, and you will get a reading. And you will kind of start following that along. And we'll assume the group is with you. You're not doing this by yourself, so you get murdered.
But
okay?
I would, because, make sure that I'm not getting an anomaly that, or try to understand the anomaly. So.
And I think it will end up like out of town, following the road around the lake, and eventually you will find yourself at this place at the edge of this lake, and this guy sees you coming, and he's like, "Hello, beautiful lady. Are you here for diving lessons?"
I don't know. What's your name, sir?
I am Zinmal. I do diving lessons for those who wish to venture into the warm, clear waters of the lake here.
I look at my thing. Are the waters? Is the signal kind of in the waters, or is
it's definitely at the bottom of the lake.
And I'm like, how far down can we go? How far out can we go?
Oh, well, it depends on what you wish to do. We can do the basic snorkeling. I can show you that, or we can do the moderate dives. It takes a little more experience to do the deep dives to the bottom.
I want to learn everything about it. She puts her stuff away.
That will not come cheap.
Oh no. Oh, look at the captain with the big puppy dog eyes. I really need to get to the bottom of that lake.
You muted.
So, yeah, I mean, this is important, but we don't have a lot of cash, I think, at the moment. So
sell those items.
Yeah. So what kind of deal can we make here?
Let's have you where is it? There's the manipulate is the classic one. Let me see if there's a commerce move that. I think let's have you roll with manipulate.
So that's a 10.
There's a 10.
10. Yeah. So.
I don't know if I can move those icons, but I might be able to. You tell you what, I'll take those in exchange for doing the training, and then maybe the next time you come through, you actually bring some goods, medicine, spare parts, meat, anything like that, and we can make a deal then.
Fair enough. I appreciate your generosity. I will definitely the next time I'm on this planet, I will remember that, and you will not regret this.
And he will turn to you, Kala, and says, "We will start tomorrow morning."
I can't wait.
Late in the day. He seems very excited. Are all of you doing the training, or just you?
Well, I am.
And you're set up to do that the next day. Kyrie, what are you doing?
So I assume there's some sort of like police or law enforcement in this place.
Yes, you met the sheriff when you arrived, and that seems to be it.
Cool.
He does come around and patrol the town, but this is not a big town.
Then maybe it's some more general information. Look into their information networks. I was gonna try and see like how their investigation was, or any background or known associates information with Burtikon, but if it's just that guy, that may not be a very robust investigation.
True.
But yeah, like the sort of computer network for the town and trying to find like properties listed under him or anything about connections or known associates or anything
Okay.
like that.
Let's have you roll. So you roll
like-
calculating.
I would like to try and mind spike the information network.
Ooh, interesting. Is that because when you, let's see here.
I need to find somewhere to have like a sort of centralized access, but
Now I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You already tried to mind spike, right?
Yes.
So you discharged that move.
Do I need to fill it back up?
So tell me what it takes for you to recharge, to recover from that. This is just a narrative thing because we're in a different scene.
Yeah, I think it takes like finding a Templar shrine to the icon somewhere and doing some meditation and trying to get things back under center where he was sort of using it as a cover before.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll.
That's 7 + 1 is 8.
That is an 8.
Which is the wrong tab. So this is
So what is it you want to know?
not the best written move. But I get the surface thoughts of the information network and what it's thinking about right now.
Ask what they're thinking about right now, and the player will give you true network. So let's have you ask a question. I think it's better phrased as a question to do that. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Is your question, where is Burtikon right now?
Yeah, if I think I get that, or like, where was the last time he accessed the computer network of this planet?
I think what you'll get is that there are cred sticks, and you kind of run through and get like an alt identity. Like Burtikon clearly has a couple of those, and about 20 minutes ago, one of those alt identities bought some drinks at the local cantina.
Nice. So yeah, I think Kyrie like goes sort of staggering drunkenly away from where he was standing. Like he's still trying to pull parts of his mind away from like cameras and information networks that are still in there. And he fumbles with his comm to bring it up and be like, I think I have a location to try from.
And Kella gets out. She's clearly been waiting for someone else to say something. She goes, "For what?"
For the job.
Oh, okay. So where should we meet you?
Wherever I guess we'll need some sort of transport. So somewhere we can get a car.
Yeah, I'm going to assume you guys are back in town. So yeah, I mean it's not that big. It's within walking distance to the cantina from where you're at, Kari. You probably had to go over to another computer node to get access.
Then there at the cantina.
All right. I'll bring my sense stuff. The resonance thing, in case that'll help.
But like subtle. It's not giant and whistling steam and blinking all sorts of lights, is it?
No steam. Don't worry.
Okay.
So you guys want to head over to the cantina?
Yes. Just
Okay.
seems like a good idea.
All right. Going all together, or is one of you heading off on your own?
altogether?
Yeah.
That's a loaded question there, Lo.
I know,
What are
okay.
you thinking about?
You asked the question. My immediate response was, "I'm not going anywhere alone." Oh, he might be asking other people that question.
So the four of you will head over to this Achalam's cantina. It is the big local watering spot. It's a walk down into a stone carved. It's cooler down here, but it's a big place. Bar. Lots of tables around. It's quite large because a lot of prospectors come here and drink heavily, and definitely recusant. You will see that a couple of those bad dudes are here, kind of looking around. And Nikos, you can see at a back corner of this place is the guy that you recognize as Berdukan.
Yeah. Okay. I think we hadn't actually come up with a plan yet for what we were going to do once we found him.
Exactly.
Isn't it exciting? Let's do this.
Do what?
Talk to
Yeah,
him.
what? Oh, great.
I'm going to walk over.
I'm not where. I'm going to stop her from walking over.
Doot, grab.
All right. Okay. Kala, I mean, right now, Berticon doesn't know that we're on the planet and that we're interested in him.
Uh-huh.
And it might be a good idea to keep it that way so that if he's got this assassin death monster that he's sending after people he's afraid of, he doesn't send it after us.
See, I don't know if that's exactly that you took the sense of that I was trying to convey. I mean, the patrol murders are scary, and they might be a protective measure, because clearly it's someone killing psychics. And so you should be careful, says to Kyrie. But I think that that's mostly what's going on. Someone's trying to gather power from that. It seems more like a power gather than protection.
Okay, but still, we maybe don't want people who offend Berticon and end up parched. We don't want to end up parched.
What does that even mean?
It sounds like people that are too useful to Berticon end up parched. I could get a little drunk, show off a little. If we want bait to draw him out.
Yeah.
Are you okay drunk?
Am I okay getting drunk and then putting myself out as a bait to be ritually murdered and have all my power sucked out? I'm not entirely great with it, but
why are you assuming it's Berticon?
If it's not, then we'll draw someone out.
Okay.
It's not a big town. They're probably watching him if it's not him.
See, I think that those guys over there are going to try to murder Berticon, so it's like our chance to talk to him.
Okay. I do want to point out that we're here for the disc, right? If they do take out Berticon.
Oh, I would like to know what happened as well. I would really, really, really like to talk to Berticon. Wouldn't it be good to know
Information is something that we've been sorely lacking.
Right. The thing is, if we want Berticon to give us information, we need leverage. We need to either have something that he wants that we're willing to give him, or we need something to threaten him with.
Well, I bet he wants to keep on living, and there's some people who are probably going to try to stop that.
Yes, but can we convince Burdicon that we can keep him alive? That's the kind of thing I mean by leverage. It's
Well,
We're doing fine. I don't
Why
know if
don't
he
the-
actually needs us.
well, we'll see. The captain's talked a lot of people into a lot of stupid things. Why don't the two of you, Kala, Captain, try and see what you can find out or work out with Burdicon, and we'll sit back and see who's too interested.
So recusant, you and Kyrie kind of position yourself. You go and sit. Nikos, Kala, you two head over to Burdicon's table.
Mhm.
Kyrie, the weird thing for you is you see you see Nikos and Kala walk up to an empty table and start talking.
Who is that to? Sorry.
That's to you, Kyrie. You see Nikos and Kala walk up to an empty table and start talking.
Grab recusant's arm. I thought they were gonna talk to Burdicon.
Yeah.
They are, recusant. They are talking to Burdicon right now.
Yeah, they are. That's what we're doing. That's what we spent the last what felt like 20 minutes talking about.
I'm going to cut away from that to Nikos, Kala. You walk up. You can see that Burdicon has slammed back a lot of alcohol. And he looks at you when the two of you come up. Hello. Can I help you?
I hope so, and perhaps we can help you. I understand that you are interested in gates, ancient gates.
No.
No, no.
No, not anymore. No.
Can you tell us why?
He kind of looks, he says, I can hear the whirring. You've been running those discs. I'm trying to keep calm, but you brought something in here. Take a drink. What'd you say, Sherry?
I said, I'm sorry. We don't know what happened.
It goes, I'm trying to keep him down, but he's already smelled your friend.
So it's him that's murdering psychics?
And you see him kind of stop talking. And you see his lips go a little slack.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Oh, it's you now.
Why don't you give me those discs?
I don't know. Why don't we?
And he starts to stand up.
All right. Stand up too.
I think I am going to shoot him with my Vulcan pistol.
All right, and that is your specialty. Let's have you, and then you get to name someone and give them advantage, but let's have you go ahead and fire off your Alpha Strike.
12.
Choose two.
I disarm or disable them, and let's see, doesn't just yeah, and I will discharge my weapons tag to deal double harm.
So your gun comes up and you fire this point blank into Berdukan, and it punches a hole through him. And it is loud, and the sound of a cricket, a gun going off in here is loud and recognizable, and everybody freaks, and you see Berdukan's body kind of start to fall back, but you can feel there's something in the air there, Kala.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyrie, you now see this guy that the captain shot. His body falls back, and there is a form of living fire hanging there in the air in front of Kala and the captain.
Yeah, and I'm going to give Kyrie advantage going forward.
Okay. Kala, what do you do? And then I'm going to come to Kyrie and Recusant. Kala?
Oh, me. Oh,
That's
gosh.
you.
I swore you. I sort of, I look down at my sensors. Am I getting anything?
Yeah. And that will allow you to roll Act Quick.
All right. I still have Deckhand. Isn't that Act Quick?
Yeah.
All right. So that gives me. No, it's Keep It Cool. Okay. So it's just Act Quick.
Act Quick.
What do you add to that?
Slick, which I'm assuming you have very high.
Oh, man. But I rolled 11, so I still end up with a 10.
So you see the sensor kind of goes, that thing where it essentially energy spike incoming, and you will kind of push yourself back into the crowd, Kyrie, as you see this form reach out for Kala, essentially clearly trying to get the discs that she has in that device, and misses somehow. You still don't see anything. You just see this dead guy that the captain shot, and Kala drop back.
So much for being subtle.
But yeah, like Recusant's arm. Look, I'm telling you, they're not talking to anyone. Shot goes off, and Kyrie just like a second later, his eyes go wide, and he dives behind the bar, pulling at Recusant, saying, "It's here! It's here!"
What the Jinn?
I don't know. Something's here. That guy was just a shell. It wasn't even real.
I think if I peer over the bar, I don't see it right.
I don't think you see it, unless Kyrie helps you see it.
Okay. No, I think what happens is just like I don't see it. Clearly, I don't see anything, and there's a bit of frustration at that. But I think I'm gonna turn back to Kyrie's side. Okay, fine. I'll trust you on this. What are you seeing?
Giant burning form trying to get Kala. Hold on a minute. I poke my head up over the bar, and I'm trying to use telekinesis to like pick up some heavy table or something and put it between where Kala's pulling the captain back and where that thing is reaching for them.
All right. Then let's have you discharge your move and roll volatile.
I think I would have a better volatile at this point. Oh God. That's a 5.
That is a 5. You reach out with that telekinesis, and you grab this thing, and it flows down the line of psychic force between you and it.
Uh-oh.
And you're behind the bar, and suddenly crouched on top of the bar like a human jackal made of fire is this thing looking down at you, and it opens up its mouth and it gets wider and wider, and there is just this burning furnace. Mark a stress.
Oh, well, that's full up on XP and full up on stress.
Look
Kyrie grabs his
at-
head and just starts screaming.
Recusant, what do you do?
Yeah, I don't see anything. I just see a screaming Kyrie, and
He's
I'm
looking up like this and screaming.
Okay, I assume what he's looking at is the Jin. But I don't know. I'm gonna stun Kyrie
Interesting.
because they're in distress right now,
Okay.
and it's painful. So I'm gonna.
You look like you're hurting. Let me shoot you.
Yeah, but no, my gun has a stun setting on it. It's fine. It's fine.
Kyrie, do you think do we want to roll that, or do you think he can stun you?
I mean, Kyrie can't really see anything except this thing burning above him. So yeah, do what you will.
And I think that you will hit Kyrie. And I think when you do, for a second, you will see this thing on top of the bar. And I think everybody sees it for a second.
No,
1,000. And they see this flaming thing on top of the bar. And people who were like, what's that gunshot? What's going on? And then this flaming thing on the bar, human, and everybody knows what the dark looks like. And the panic is immediate. Nikos, what do you do?
All right. Well, I see this thing for an instant, so I'm going to shoot it.
All right. You will fire your weapon off, and that energy weapon will go right through it.
Okay.
What else? And that's the casual Han Solo shot, and Darth Vader deflects it. What do you do then?
I'm gonna. All right. We see you. What is it you want?
Can I make a storyline suggestion real quick?
Yeah, sure.
This is very much a question for Leandro and Lowell, just to see if you're interested in this. But one of my calamities is someone who gave you succor when you were hurt has been captured by your enemies. Would it be interesting to you, Leandro, to have Recusant taken by this thing?
That could be an out. My other suggestion was going to bring up at the end of the session is I just found out I'm actually free next week on Sunday. Turns out I'm not running Band of Blades till the 8th. So
Okay.
Well, I totally have other things I can choose.
Yeah, so I just figured it out right before we started. It's like, oh,
Okay.
shit.
And we'll bring in Rich next week so we can have a transfer of power.
Cool.
I think you will hear all the glass in this building vibrate, and it's using that to speak. And you will hear it say, the discs. Kala.
Although I've been jury rigging, I've been so close to this thing. I've got its resonance and everything. I've read all the stuff from the library. I'm going to attempt to jury rig a trap, a vacuum, a ghostbuster.
Is this your plans within plans?
Yes, that is what I was working on all along.
Then let's have you roll plans within plans.
Okay, what is...
And Patrick, when you rolled your failure, did you roll that with advantage that the captain gave you?
No, I didn't.
So, Kala, you may take advantage on this roll since that is still floating around.
All right. I will take your advantage. I got an 11, add a 3. That's a 14 for plans within plans.
Tell me what this looks like when you suck up this fragmented, psychic eating murderous Jin thing into these discs.
I think it looks like she actually pulls the sensor thing that she's made apart, and you can see the discs, and she actually essentially has inside of the case a set of markers on it, and you see her actually use her hands to set them, and then she smashes them together and spins the two of them together in to, you know, like essentially in sync. And it's like the first time they've actually done a contact that they've been kind of pushing against. Like they have a sort of thing that holds them a millimeter away apart from each other, but it's when she presses it and does that you get a completely different signal, and you see him kind of go back through time, except that when he gets close to the discs, he kind of just starts to disintegrate right near them, but he's actually going in.
Part of it is that he had to manifest to speak. Part of it is that the psychic connection that he was drawing power from Kyrie has been severed by Kyrie being stunned, and this thing is clawing, and the bar ignites, catches on fire along as this thing is pulled into those discs, and then this thing will go and kind of stop in place.
And I look up at Rakusit and I give her the thumbs up.
I give a thumbs up as well.
And it's Panic at the Disco right now.
I'll panic too. I mean, I'll pretend to panic, not very well, but I will leave the premises with other people.
Yeah, I'm carrying Kyrie.
I'm going to quickly search Berticon's body.
Oh, okay. Remind me of that next week. We'll give you some stuff from that. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
We'll put some clues on the table because we are right at the end of time for today.
And I think for the calamity I'm going to choose is you suffer a terrible wound, illness, or debility. Describe what you have lost. And I've lost the sanctuary in my own mind. I think this thing has touched me, and even when it's trapped, still has an open connection to my mind.
That sounds great.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds great. Quick end move for the questions which we will do here. Did you complete a mission? Yes. So everybody gets an XP. Did you think you learned something new and important about the universe?
Yeah, I think so.
Mark, an XP. Did you make a new enemy and or thwart an existing enemy? Mark an XP.
It was very genteel today.
Captain, do you think one of your hooks created problems for you?
Actually, no.
Okay. Leandro, did one or more of your hooks create problems for you?
I think I got a solution to one of them, but I don't know if problems happened.
That seems fair. That seems a fair read on that.
And this was me trying to let go of that paranoia.
True.
And then I remembered, oh shit, I'm actually around for next week.
Yeah. Kala, what about you?
I think both of my hooks gave me interesting moments, but not problems.
Okay. And Kyrie.
Kyrie never has any problems with hooks. I don't even know why you'd ask.
Fair enough.
It's less direct than other sessions, but I still think definite problems.
All right. Next time we will be marking various fuses for maintenance and the nemesis and all of those things, and we'll carry on. We'll be bringing Rich in next week, and we'll probably transition back to Coriolis. We'll do some fallout from this, and people can retcon on things as they need to, but we'll kind of move back there to the next sort of step in the tracking down of these discs. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Okay. I am going to stop recording.